Hello, everyone, and welcome to Layer by Layer. Today, we're going to be talking about the 3D system, Stratasys, Nano Dimension, and anybody else who's involved with it right now, kind of takeover, merger, consolidation, whatever you happen to call it. We're going to be talking about our filament, and we're going to be talking about some new stuff that we got coming out here pretty soon. And you know what? Damn it, I don't care. We're going to talk about the Apple Pro Vision Pro, whatever it happens to be, on this episode today at Layer by Layer. So let's just dive right in. So I know this is a 3D printing channel, and I know that we're supposed to be focused on particular topics, but we talk about product design a lot, and this is the most contentious piece of new product that has come out recently. So we're going to talk about the Apple Augmented Reality VR goggles, because it has been a point of rumor for a long time, and it's been a point of contention for a long time. And you know, Apple's an interesting company because I know that everybody watching this podcast probably dislikes Apple for a number of different reasons. I understand all those reasons about closed systems, so on and so forth, all the stuff. But Apple does stuff really well. And it's great when you see a product that just works really well. By the way, I'm just talking about kind of Apple products in general. I love the fact that AirPods connect to your phone as soon as you put them in your ear. But for the Apple Vision Pro, yeah, that thing, it looks really good. And the thing that bugs me is the fact that they had to make the battery external. And I understand why they did that. It's already a heavy thing. They can't have a battery in it. And they expect batteries to continue to get better or for you to plug it into a wall or something. So it's a weird kind of tether. It's not a great thing. But the rest of it, they have done all that they should do. Here's the thing. As far as functionality, they have focused in on the killer app of replacing your TV screen. Imagine having an 80-inch 4K, 8K, whatever K you want to put in there, TV screen in every single room, and then popping up 3 of them to do your work from home work on. It's such a good system. And I work in CAD. I work in product design in CAD a lot of the time. And we always use CAD with mice and keypads and all the rest of it, entering in numbers. And CAD has never worked inside of VR because it's so flipping cumbersome. And you can't type inside of VR, and you cannot control stuff with those stupid controllers inside of VR, short of sculpting things out, which has always been silly. The Apple AR headset is perfect for CAD because, number one, since it's an AR set, you can drop your model right there in the world, which is cool. But their eye tracking, from what I've seen as far as the feedback is, their eye tracking is flippin' phenomenal, to where you can look at very fine details, such as a text box inside of a CAD program, and then you're able to speak out loud, have it understand your voice, and it will start writing in the text. And text prediction is really good. Speech recognition is really good right now. So I can look at a box, say look at a text box, say, yeah, width of that dimension, 2.4 millimeters. It'll autofill, populate it out. I can do CAD in VR now. And since the interface is so clean and slick, and I can click and grab and all the rest of it just in the minimalist way that I need. I don't need to do all of this. I just need control, selection, and what I'm looking at to interact with. I think these goggles would work really well for CAD. The problem is that no CAD suite at all really works on Apple at all, except for a few eclectic ones that are either too expensive or not powerful enough. So like SolidWorks and Autodesk aren't really very good Apple products. But that being said, I'm really excited for that. And as far as the design of the headset itself, Apple has done what Apple do, and they have made something that's very slick, very refined, yes, very expensive, but I think it will sell really well. And ultimately, though, I think they'll probably boil it down and do something different with the face piece as far as seeing your eyes, to where it becomes like a $1,900 device. And I think they will sell a whole mess of them at that point, because they're not selling VR for gaming. That's not what they're going for. They are selling a replacement for monitors and displays and even sort of sound system if you live alone. But it's a nice cohesive device that works really well, and I think radically improves efficiency in a kind of a work environment, in addition to being something cool and fun. And by the way, I'd be really jazzed to watch a movie in like theater level movie in a night sky all around me. That seems freaking dope. But as far as that That being said, it does look goofy. The eyes poking through is weird. I think someday they should turn that into like cartoon eyes or something like that so that it's a signal for the people on the outside, but it's not trying to be real or feel pass through, because that is funky. And it looks weird. And the goggles themselves look like ski goggles, so they're not really as sexy as folks were hoping. I think a bunch of us were hoping for like eyeglasses that just had good AR capability, but Apple went whole hog, and you gotta commend them for that. And they've also done what Apple has done before, which is to take an exceptionally powerful computer and put it in a small thing. When they made the iPhone, I remember there's a story from the guys at BlackBerry, and the co-founder of BlackBerry, who was the engineer, bought an iPhone and brought it back, and he tore it open, and he looked at the chip, and he was like, they put a Mac inside this phone. And that is basically what they have done here with their AR set. They have taken their Apple silicon chips and put them inside of this very small device. So it's got so much power and it has so little latency that most of the problems with VR, as far as latency and all the rest of it, are solved to where it doesn't feel weird. There's probably some fatigue in it, because there always is, but you shouldn't stare at a computer screen all day either. So there's just, it looks like they've solved most of the key problems, and it is hilarious that the person that they're going to mess with the most with this is Meta again, after they already messed with ads 2 to 3 years ago. So this is just funny because Apple and Facebook is like key competitors. It's just sort of funny. But that being said, I wanted to talk about the Vision Pro, because it's a cool product. It's a new product. And in the context of creating good products, it's good to recognize when people are doing something interesting or cool, because you can take it as inspiration for your own types of products and the own things that you're working on. Apple looked at the problems that exist in VR, like seasickness and that kind of thing. They have solved those, and then they've looked at the key problem that they can fix as far as like monitors, to where they can really take technology forward and add in something new that displaces something old while still being seamless. It's not, hey, add this to your life. It's like, replace this stuff in your life. So like as the smartphone replaced your phone and your whatever laptop and your keychains or something, whatever crap you were hauling around before the smartphone did everything, your PDA, yeah, for you young kids out there. When the smartphone combined all those devices, the Vision Pro seems to be combining a lot of devices. So a desktop monitor, your TV, components of your phone are all coming together into this single device. So I'm jazzed. I think it could be pretty sweet. Super expensive, but pretty sweet. Going on to the Stratasys drama. So guys, the Stratasys drama, whatever. This one is weird because everybody seems to be involved in this. Every fairly major 3D printing company, except for like Markforged, is involved with this. And I don't know why Markforged isn't in it. I guess they're not publicly traded, so it doesn't really count. But a lot of us have been expecting consolidation inside of the 3D printing industry for a while now. My expectation was that it would be a lot of smaller companies being bought up, the way Desktop Metal bought up smaller companies, not this sort of merger situation. What this seems indicative of is that the demand is not being driven well enough to where these, in a particular category, to where these companies seem to want to hedge their bets. Either they're hedging their bets by doing everything, or they are going to try to own everything and raise them all at once, which, based on the financial situation of most of these companies, that seems like a stupid idea, because to scale up any given 3D printing process to like really produce a bunch of those machines is really expensive, because you need a factory for each one of those silly machines. But as far as like acquisition of talent and acquisition of a competitor, it does seem useful. As far as Desktop Metal being involved in the Stratasys merger, that makes sense. Desktop Metal is an interesting company because they have a lot of really cool stuff going on and they're very ambitious, but they're also getting into a point of increasingly high risk as the economy kind of changes. So merging with another slightly more established company like Stratasys, that's been around for a while and looks really good and can bring signed kind of a grown up in the room kind of a mentality, though I don't want to say that about Rick Fulop because he's a really good CEO and he's an old salt too. But it's an interesting dynamic of how it's coming together. The large ones are merging and letting everybody else scuttle around. So this is kind of indicative of the amount of competitive pressure in the industry because, yes, there's 10 bajillion 3D printer companies. Obviously, most of them don't matter because these large companies don't care about acquiring them and would rather merge with each other than acquire up a bunch of these small guys. So that's kind of indicative of the industry. The share of market share of who is using what when seems to be slightly indicated by this set of operations. As far as the drama with like Nano Dimension and 3D Systems getting involved in it too, it's drama and whatever, but it's just there's nothing to add to it. 3D Systems probably had their paperwork rolling and then they found out about Desktop Metal. Probably the fact that Stratasys was in the throes of dealing with the Nano Dimension buyout that 3D Systems probably said, well, you could probably get involved in this. And they started fiddling along, but then the Desktop Metal thing came up before their thing actually was made public. So these aren't decisions that are happening week by week. These are happening over months. Or at least multiple weeks. So these are not big surprises of like, oh, Stratasys is available. Let's go and do something. No, it's much less knee-jerk than that. At least I hope. I'd lose my faith in some parts of humanity if that wasn't the case. Next topic, filament, where we're at with filament. Okay, so we are finalizing the website right now. That website will be launched. We don't have a hard launch date right now, but the website for the not next batch, the continuous operation of Slant Filament, whatever its final name will be, we still kind of really like Tangled. Tangled is funny. Tangled is funny and really clean, but the problem is it matches with Angled, and I'm not sure if I'm willing to make that branding decision. But anyway, the filament will be launching here in a couple of weeks. It will be only black. We're only going to produce black. It will only be PLA to start. The reason for this is just to make sure that we are doing a good job because the vast majority of filament that people use is just black. So we're not going to try to create 10 bajillion different colors. We're going to try to make good quality, consistent, US-made filament that you can rely on. So that when you need more, it's there, and so on and so forth. So we're not going to distract ourselves with, sparkle, glitter, purple, or that kind of stuff. We don't really care. That being said, within the context of this being a way to make our print farm more efficient, when we finish large production jobs, we sometimes have excess material left over that can't really be used because it might be like a custom Pantone for a client. But that material can be downspooled and sold in like special batches that will never come back around. But it's a good way to get low-cost material that's very good quality because, again, we're using it in our farm. Sometimes it would be coming from a different supplier. Sometimes it would be made from us. But those custom colors would come through. So there's an opportunity to try something new and interesting with that. And we'll play around with that. But when filament launches, we are going to be the lowest selection option of filament out there, mainly just because everybody's done everything. Ours is just trying to be good, consistent, low hassle, there when you need it. That way you don't have to worry about, the favorite color black that I have disappeared on Amazon this week because whatever, somebody went through and bought it all. No, we're going to set it up so that you get what you need when you need it. And you know that it can be reliable and you know where it came from and it's very transparent about where it came from. The thing with this is to just get rid of all the guff. And to make good quality US-made filament that print farms can use. And then over time, create a supply chain that decreases the cost for average hobbyists and for mass production print farms so that there is a supply chain for production of FDM materials that people can, so that we can help scale up the industry to larger and larger volumes because the cost of raw materials is just silly right now. That being said, if you're doing the hobbyist quantity and that kind of stuff, it's going to be tougher to get the cheaper filament. We'll still be very, very competitive, but and we'll work to push that down as much as possible. But it's more of a hassle to move like one spool than 5 or 10 or 200 or something along those lines. But yes, good quality, reliable filament without a bunch of guff. Most people print in black. Black is great, fine, and we will take other colors as they come along and as they make sense. And we'll introduce them here over time. Okay. So that's filament. We got our extrusion line that we committed to this had a little bit of a hiccup, and we've been troubleshooting that for a while because it was a thing broke. But we've got that revamped, and we're getting that ramped back up again. It won't affect the delivery time because we'll use our other means to make sure that material is there, and we will announce the official relaunch of that here in just a couple weeks. It'll be coming really, really soon. Software. Okay, so this is kind of exciting. One of the big goals of Slant 3D has always been to make it more accessible. Personal 3D printing is great, but it doesn't scale up. If you make a really cool product and you print it on your home printer and you show it on Instagram and 1,000 people ask for it from you, then you can't really get distribution. And ramping up a print farm is a terrible, horrible hellhole that, it's not as easy as I hope we make it look, but it's going to be kind of miserable to build a factory. But we want our print farm to be as easy to access as possible. And right now, it hasn't really been that. You have to go through a sales process and a vetting process. And sometimes we say no to clients, and there's kind of minimum volumes involved or goals that you want to hit. We're not really a prototyping spot. So we haven't been that helpful to the college student with a laptop. We haven't been that accessible server farm. And we want to change that. So we announced the Slant 3D API near the beginning of this year, I think about February. We've been working on that, and it's in beta right now, and we're doing kind of final testing and deployment on it. An initial app will be released here in about a week. This app will allow anyone to upload a file and get a print, and it will be very fast, clean, and efficient. Over time, we will increase the capabilities of that app, and we have about 3 more applications stored up that will be released to, again, make it as easy as possible to access the scale that we have by just uploading a file and then getting your part. What we hope to do with this is to push the cost of the prototyping down so low that people are willing to upload a file and order a print and then make adjustments to optimize for the process. We're basically going to say, hey, this is going to be supported. This is going to be this color. It's going to be this resolution. There's not a lot of jiggering so that people can just focus on making good products rather than wondering what the materials should be and that kind of thing. Just good quality part. Here are the specs that you will get from it. And if we make it affordable and scalable, then folks can design around it. I made this widget. That'll work for this. And over time, we'll introduce capabilities. But that print-on-demand app, where you can just upload a file and get it delivered in a couple of days, will be releasing very soon. That is built on top of our API and will be kind of the test of our API, kind of the stress test of it for demand. So if you guys want to try it out, we'd love to have you come try it out. And we'll give more detail. We'll do an official announcement, a video on that here pretty soon. But yeah, it'll be coming out in about 1 to 2 weeks as well. So we got a bunch of announcements coming. Sorry about that. We didn't mean to have these all stack up. But our software is reaching a point, and the API will be released officially also, so that anybody who is technically capable can plug it into like their website or something. So if you have a product or you have a print service or anything else, you'll be able to leverage all of the capacity that we have for like surge demand or Christmas demand for like your Etsy store and that kind of thing. So that is coming very close to completion and to launch. And we think it's going to be a really big resource for a lot of folks because it gives you affordable, quick, and reliable access to a large number of 3D printers that you otherwise wouldn't have access to, whether you're making 1 part or 1,000 parts. It's just going to streamline that process to where it's much more of a manufacturing server farm that you guys can tap at any time for whatever your product or your project may be, which has never really been possible before. There's been a lot of print services, and all of them are super cumbersome and just super cumbersome. We want it to be as clean as possible because, my goodness, 3D printing has been overcomplicated and made so irritating by the industry itself to where it's now this little cloistered order and we're all a bunch of 3D printing monks protecting our ideas or whatever it happens to be. No, this is a technology that enables people to create stuff. And we think enabling scale after you've created something allows the kid in the dorm room who's maybe not interested in coding, but interested in building and creating physical stuff to create something and bring it to market and become a millionaire without ever having to deal with the minutia and the infrastructure of building a print farm. It's like transitioning from, all the early websites on all those early startups like Google built its servers and that's how they got it done, to going to like Facebook and Zuck just got an AWS account or some equivalent there and just hosted it that way. Or like Netflix or those guys or anybody else who just ramped up a website on top of a server service. We want to be a print service that enables that kind of scale. And that's what we're pushing towards. So this new print-on-demand app will come out very soon. Hopefully it's a good resource for anybody who wants to just get prototypes out. So if you're an engineer or a student or anyone else who just wants to print and doesn't want to have to mess with printing it yourself, the turnaround time will be about 3 days. Actually, I should probably stop talking because we need a bunch of this for the announcement video. But it's meant to be really easy and low effort and low cost for people. And we will go into it more, but that is coming very soon. I will be totally honest and say that it is behind schedule, but it is finally here and we're so close and it is looking really, really sick. So we're going to get some super cool stuff on that. Also, with these podcasts, we are probably going to start changing up the format a little bit here. We're going to try to start getting the team up here a little bit more so you guys can see more of the folks who work here. And we will be talking about different sorts of topics and that kind of stuff. We're also going to keep on messing with the content around the channel itself. If there's a type of content that you'd like us to make, please comment down below with what that is. Yeah, sorry. Some of the comments that I know I'm going to see ran through my head all of a sudden. But yeah, I'm not going to mention what they are. I'm just going to laugh when I see them go by. But yeah, if there's types of videos that we haven't done before that you'd like to see, everybody's responded really well to like the 3D printing stories and the client stories and that kind of stuff. And we enjoy doing those because they're really great examples. Like the Haddington Dynamics video that we recently did, the robot arm, the $26 million robot arm. It's a really cool story to show just the incredible scale that is possible to go from $100,000 to a $26 million exit in over about 3 years is really impressive and cool. And those guys did such a great job. But it's also very important to acknowledge that that was enabled by 3D printing because they were able to get started basically for pennies on the dollar of traditional manufacturing. And it enabled this whole new company and a whole new value proposition that is just really, really cool. And we love products like that because there's not very many that have had those types of exits right now who have been that focused and had that good of a product. But the fact that printing makes it so much easier to create those types of products and so much lower cost, there'll be more of these, a lot more of these. And I know there's many multi-million-dollar 3D printed product companies out there, but there should be more. I think people need to stop focusing on how to build more machines and more focusing on what those machines can actually make, what new products are enabled now with this. So like the Benet Befriends collection or Wacky Bobbers or the Haddington robot and any number of other things have all been enabled by what the machines were able to create. That was totally new and different from before and completely a huge competitive advantage from before. So those are pretty cool. But yeah, comment down below if there's other companies that you guys know about that have had those kinds of stories, because we'd love to dig into them or talk to them, because we just love highlighting these guys. And of course, if you ever need any help with mass production, please reach out to us and get a quote anytime you come by. Have a great day, everybody.